Good evening, everybody. My name is Carrie Craddock. I'm the Director of Programming for the festival, and welcome to this evening's screening of Out of Blue, which had its world premiere here a couple of nights ago. Yes, it's very exciting. To begin, we would like to acknowledge that tonight's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of New Credit, the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are very grateful to have the opportunity to work in this community. This film, as part of our competitive platform section, is eligible for the Toronto Platform Prize presented by Air France, as well as, like all of our films, the Grolsch People's Choice Award. You can go onto tiff.net/vote to vote for all of the films you love at the festival. A huge thank you to the Creative Artists Agency and Independent for providing us with this film today, and also to the British Council for their generous support. So round of applause for them. They're all wonderful partners. Out of Blue is Carol Morley's fourth feature film, but her first film at TIFF, and we're delighted to have her here. It's also the first time that she's filmed outside of the UK. Her previous films have all featured characters going through personal struggles and often in the wake of a death. Out of Blue follows along some of those same themes, and I find it to be a very haunting and intelligently directed film that features also amazing performances from the formidable Patricia Clarkson and also a stunning supportive cast as well, who are all here tonight for an introduction and a Q&A after the screening, so please stay. But now let's bring her out, the director of Out of Blue, Carol Morley.
Thank you. Hello. Do I stand here? Thank you, Kerry. I'd really like to thank TIFF for being such an amazing festival and, more importantly, having an amazing audience. You're the best audiences ever for a festival. Yes, come on. And I've always been a great believer that a film isn't completed until it meets its audience. So between you all tonight, you will finish the film for us. So thank you for that as well. And I'd like to introduce one of the producers, Cairo Cannon, to the stage. This is Cairo. And then now first, some of the people in the film. So Bree Collins. Devin Tyler, and just have a little bit of pause, Patricia Clarkson. And we'll be back. We're going to be back to talk to you all. We really hope you enjoy the film. Do you want to say anything?
Thank you again for being here tonight. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite festival in the world. I've been here for 100 years. I look good. And I've had so many films here, and I'm always honored and proud to be here. And especially this year with another great female director. But Piers, you're great, the director of your program, has always included women, and we're here to represent. So thank you for being here tonight.
See you later. You know, it's a radical adaptation of Martin Amis's Night Train. So I was very, very drawn to the cosmology in the book. I don't know much about cosmology. So through the process of researching the film, I came across stuff like We Are Stardust, which obviously Joni Mitchell sings in her song. But I didn't realise that we really were. So there was lots of the cosmological elements that I just became really intrigued by and were quite comforting, really, around death and the idea that we're all stardust and we're all connected. And so I thought of Mike, the detective, that has been grounded her whole life, starting to have to look up at the stars and also look into herself, hence the opening quote about we don't just exist in the universe, it exists inside us. So I was just... We actually know more about the universe than we do about our own minds. So I thought these two kind of almost conflicting but connected elements were fascinating.
Mike knows nothing about cosmology, and she doesn't care. And then she does have to care. And suddenly that's what drew me to the character, this incredibly grounded, but sadly, traumatized and conflicted, deeply internally conflicted woman who is, I don't think, ever looked up at the stars, suddenly has to look outside of herself to find herself. And I thought the juxtaposition of homicide and cosmology and the cosmos and what is larger than ourselves, only Carol Morley could marry those disparate worlds, and she did. And she did, and it's just this beautiful world that you've created.
It's interesting you say what drew you to the character, because I was curious about, you have this long and varied career. Coming back to this, are there still things you feel like you learn from every role, or are there things you felt like you learned from this role?
Oh, every role leaves an imprint and leaves a slight and leaves a recovery period for us. And I'm always drawn to the characters that test me, that taunt me, that are difficult. And this character in particular, I was coming off Sharp Objects and had to kind of leave one incomplete world, one complete world, and enter another vast universal world, but in my hometown. So I had to go home to New Orleans and had to go home to Mike in a way. There are, mixing my hometown with this beautiful, pensive, insular, traumatized woman will always stay with me. This was a very important moment in my life, and I don't use that word often. I really don't. Ask my friends. But to come home to do this beautiful character and this beautiful film in my hometown was important to me.
Well, I'm going to open it up to the audience. Do you guys have any questions? Right here.
Hi, I love the film. Thank you so much. It echoed with me of a film that was made some time before I saw it, TIFF, by the great Jane Campion in The Cut. It was kind of dark and this unknowing evil, and the female characters. And I was wondering if you've seen that film and if it somehow influenced.
Yeah, I saw it when it came out.
So just to make sure everyone else can hear, the question was about Jane Campion's In the Cut, and if that film affected you at all and influenced this.
Yeah, well, I saw it when it came out, but I didn't see it again for this. But Jane Campion is definitely. Actually, I got asked the other day who was my favorite filmmaker. So we said Jane Campion, even though we have many. But I think her films such as Sweetie and her short films Peel and A Girl's Own Story. I think when I began to become a filmmaker, I didn't come to filmmaking till I was in my 20s. I left school at 16, and Jane was one of the first people, female film directors really that I discovered. And I feel her interest in the female gaze very specifically, and the way we take subjectivity and look at a character has influenced me. Maybe not particularly that film, though it might have done subliminally, but definitely her way of looking and that Australasian cinema. Yeah, but we said, didn't we? She was our favorite.
We did. We just talked about Jane yesterday and during press.
Right here.
Yeah. How what? Sorry, I can't.
Attempting suicide.
Oh yeah.
Her attempting suicide.
Oh yeah, Mike.
So
Yeah. Do you want to paraphrase the question?
yeah, sure. I mean, the question was about the role of suicide and the choice to
Yeah.
have her attempt suicide, consider suicide, etc.?
Yeah, well, I think that my dad actually killed himself. So I've sort of, when I was 11, so I've kind of grown up with suicide. And this idea, as well, I'm fascinated by the idea that often the people that do it in our lives, you don't know they're going to have done it. And I think that for me, Mike had never particularly considered it. And then this kind of thing that she got wrong about Jennifer, in a way, that the homicide turned to suicide.
In her mind, she got wrong.
And so she doesn't. I don't think she has. Mike has the. It's not the desire to kill herself as such. It's the idea to feel what Jennifer felt at that time. So I don't think she's in a suicidal frame of mind exactly, but I think she's made up her mind. So she goes back to work, she takes the beignets, she's doing that mask thing of everything's all right. And then she goes to the observatory to try and feel what Jennifer felt more than anything. So that was the intention. Yeah, but I think suicide fascinates me, but it's not something you can talk about before you see the film because you'd know what happened. So it's a bit weird. So you're kind of, I've been wanting to talk about suicide, and it is true that every 30 seconds someone in the world kills themselves. So, and when you know all those details and the idea that we are in the midst all the time of people masking, and they say talk about it, reach out, and people don't. I mean, they still don't, even though there seems to be more of a forum. So I was very fascinated by this idea of Jennifer seeming all right to everybody, Mike seeming all right to everybody. And there's one point in the film when Janie Mack, her boss, goes, "But you're fine, you don't have a double life." So it was quite really trying to play with that idea of who everybody is. And at Jennifer's funeral, memorial service, there's that, look at the person next to you. We're all complete mysteries. So that was a kind of through line in it. Yeah.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
Right down here.
I couldn't hear it, but I did in the end.
So I think they had mentioned earlier this was your first film outside the UK that you shot, and fortunately you shot where your leading lady is from. So did you have conversations about how to capture New Orleans on film?
So the question was there collaboration about how to capture New Orleans on film between the two of you?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, I moved the film.
Yeah.
I was instrumental. We were going to shoot in Atlanta, and I was shooting something else at the tail end of. And Atlanta was the tax credits had left New Orleans, and she always had me as a New Orleanian cop who had been transferred to Atlanta, but I was shooting something in Atlanta, and I called Carol. I swear to God, I had this conversation. I said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Carol, we can't shoot this movie in Atlanta. There's 50,000 films here." I said, "The only person left to do my hair is a dog groomer." And she got it. And our glorious producers, Cairo and Luke, got it. And they had just reinstated the tax credits in New Orleans. Thank you, God. And I said, "Just keep me as a New Orleanian cop. Let's just bring it back to my hometown." And they did it, this is the beauty of a director who has her sights set, but she is flexible enough because I think you're brilliant and she has vision, and she was able to reconceive in the original novel, was set kind of anywhere USA, but she had set it in Atlanta. But Atlanta and New Orleans are I wouldn't say they're kissing cousins, they're kind of touching cousins, and I don't know what that is, but. Don't ever ask me that again. But
created the term now.
I know. but I think somehow the film, we didn't have to add a lot of etouffee and jambalaya and gumbo and beignet, and there's one beignet. The city itself is so beautiful. The city I really truly know in my heart and my blood, and the New Orleanians that are here with us tonight, it just lives, and it permeated the film in a natural and organic way. And that's, I think, why I love the film, because it's just the city lives. It's not portrayed.
And I always have there's always this horror. If you see a film set in London, it always has red telephone boxes and red buses. And I didn't want to do that to New Orleans, where you go, we must show. Yeah. I think at one point I did have this street musician for a while, and Patricia walks past him eating a burger. And at one point I said to the editor, it just has to go. It feels like we're trying to put it in to show more of this, that idea of it. So we took it.
He was very good.
He was good.
We have time for a couple more. Back there? So the question was about the complex characters that you choose to play and whether it has a drain on you as an actor, as a person.
Yes, it does. I'm going to sit down right now.
Should we we'll do the whole Q&A like this?
I'm exhausted.
This is
I
much
thought we
better.
were going to get chairs.
This is the drain on me. I'm 58. But anyway, thank you for the. I do. As an actor, I'm at the fortunate position to choose, say yes or no, what to make the choice, to make choices now. It's what every actor, we dream of being in that position, and I finally arrived. And so I want to be challenged. I want a character that is gonna, I wasn't sure if I could do Mike. I'll be honest with you, I knew that Mike was in me. I didn't have the externals of Mike, but oddly I knew I had the internals, but they were brutal, and I knew it because it was so deep and so dark and so tragic, and it had to live with me every single day on this set, and I had to do the homework. And it does. There's a part of your life, there's a part of yourself that you must give every time, as pretentious as it sounds, I think. But as actors, that's our job. That's what we are required to do, is to make sure the character is in us and not on us. And it's how we honor the great filmmakers and writers that we get to work with. And I'm always want to be there for them, because no director can give you the deep and dark channels you must travel as an actor. You must have them, and that's the homework we must do. But I am afforded those great characters, and Mike is one of them. And I'm honored and thrilled to have played this rather stunning, dark, and tragic woman, and but I'm exhausted.
Well, it's amazing we'll go there.
The strip clubbing was fun.
Like the cat being stolen?
So
our cat was stolen.
The actual cat in
you
the film
cannot
was
believe
stolen.
only in New Orleans. Our cat was stolen. I'm not kidding you. Oh my God, we had to get another cat. But then we found the stolen cat and got it back.
It was returned.
We can't make this up.
So those were the
The cat was like riding the streetcar. We don't know.
Was it stolen, or did it just
was
wander
stolen.
off?
No, it was
actually.
stolen.
Then how did you get it back?
It was stolen from the hotel room, but we think that they actually wanted the cage it was in. Not the cage, but the carrying case.
The carrying case.
And we think maybe they thought it was a valuable dog. So at one point, the next night, in the middle of the night, the cat was found outside the hotel room, but not the carrying case.
So this is how Carol tells me. One day, the next day, she comes up on the set to me. I swear to God, she goes, "The cat was stolen." I said, I was shattered. I was like crying. I was like, what? And then I was like, What the did you just say? He goes, Patty, the cat was stolen.
And you thought it was like a directing metaphor.
It was some like weird like internal direction. Like I had no idea, and the cat really, honestly,
And
was
considering the whole Schrodinger's cat running through it, it was like, and it made the local paper.
it made the local paper.
It said film star cat stolen. It
Film
didn't
star
mention
cat.
Patricia or anyone.
No, it didn't mention me.
What I want to know is like who on your set is sending that news item into the local paper.
Yeah, I think the handler, because the police actually, it was the police.
police
because
got involved.
They told them.
Isn't it more concerning that how did they get in the hotel room to take the cat?
Yes, we thought about it for hours.
There was whole conspiracy theory.
It's like a whole different Q&A.
And then, we were genuinely concerned for the cat, of course. I mean, we're animal lovers. I mean, my dog is my love of my life. We were frightened, but the cat was safe and sound and okay, so.
Well, I feel like we're out of time, but
I think we always end on a cat,
sharing,
okay?
having story time here on the floor. Thank you so much for bringing the film
Thank
and
you.
for coming.
Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you.
Obviously, Thank you.